So welcome to Wellness Foundation's Wellness Warriors Conversations with Change Agent series. I'm your host, Jenn Taylor, and I'm the Executive Director of Education and Programs for Wellness Foundation for the past 15 years. And for those of you who don't know Wellness Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization on the eastern end of Long Island. And our whole mission is to help make plant-based nutrition accessible to as many people as we can, and to help people heal their bodies and also heal the planet through the power of plant-based nutrition. And today is a real treat for me because I get to introduce you to somebody that I have just come to respect and adore so much. And that's Meg Donahue, the founder of MamaSezz. And MamaSezz is amazing. If you don't know MamaSezz, they make home-cooked, plant-based meals that they deliver right to your door. I don't know if you can make plant-based living any easier than you guys do it, but I can't wait for you to meet her. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Meg. So welcome, Meg.
Jen, thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I am thrilled to be here. I am thrilled. And thank you for that kind intro.
Well, I just want to say, before we jump in, we've been doing this show for the last year. And I'm going to say something today that nobody's ever really heard me say before when I did an interview. And that is, Wellness Foundation's been in this plant-based thing for almost 2 decades now. So we've been doing this longer than most people. Even before there was really a plant-based movement, our founder, Doug Mercer, was such a visionary and just such an extraordinary human being that he wanted to pay forward what he had done with his own health. And I get approached all the time by companies, especially as the plant-based movement has exploded, wanting us to endorse their products. And we've always said no. We've never wanted to really get into that or, have to choose a company and put our name on it. And the first time that we ever decided to collaborate with anybody, it's MamaSezz. And there's a reason for that. From the very first time that I talked to Meg, I discovered your company a number of years ago and ordered some meals and was just blown away. And I think I reached out to you right away. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing so much. And, what I discovered when I talked to Meg, and you'll hear this from her, is how extraordinary her story is and how she started this company. But your goal is to help people be healthy, and you saw that firsthand with your mom. But there is, and this isn't something you usually hear about with a company, there is so much love behind the mission of this company. And I feel like that's the thing that really bonds our two organizations, because everything we've done has been built on just our love for humanity and for people and the earth that we live on. And yours is the same. And it was just really a no-brainer to me and our team about collaborating with you. And I can't wait for you guys to hear some of the things that we have coming, ahead with MamaSezz that I think you're going to really love. But it's a joy to us to put our name on something with MamaSezz because we believe so much in the mission of your company. So
thank
welcome.
You so much, Jen. Well, I'll let you ask the question, but when I first met you, I had the exact same feeling, and we spoke over the phone, and you're right, we're mission driven and it's real. And when I talked with you, I remember saying to our co-founder, these people are amazing. You've been doing it. I mean, you got the wake up call way before me. And so you kind of cleared a path for us to even exist. And you were so aligned. And I knew if we couldn't work with you, I just wanted to stay connected to see if there was any way that we could be helpful or just kind of follow what you were doing. So I'm really glad our paths crossed.
No, it's been amazing. You've become a dear friend, and I just love the story so much. So I think that's what I want to jump right into and have you share with our viewers. How did MamaSezz come to be? Because your story is extraordinary.
Sure, and thank you. It is, and it was something, I guess, for everyone too listening. It was something that was totally not on my radar, and I guess that's where we start. It was not something where I came from a plant-based world. In fact, I kind of came from a healthy eating-ish world. But what happened is my mom at 80 had congestive heart failure, and so bad. She kind of from 77 on had been kind of on a downward trajectory, but she had less than 10% heart function. She was in a top hospital here in New England, and her kidneys were failing, and there was nothing more they could do. She was too weak for any kind of surgeries. They had already done a pacemaker, and they just said, well, bring her home and make arrangements and call hospice. And so I lived in another state, and I said, I'll just bring her home with me. I renovated a little apartment in our garage while she was in the hospital, and brought her home for what I thought were the last 3 months of her life. And she was, I can't stress enough how weak she was, couldn't get out of bed. We were in and out, even in the first few days of her being home, of the emergency room. It was just so touch and go. And what happened is I just said, has somebody survived this level of heart disease? Or is there a way to extend it? Because part of it is I had just had a baby. I had a baby late in life, and I wanted my mom to experience it, and I wanted my daughter to experience her grandmother for whatever period of time. And so there was a lot of probably hormones and love and emotion, and I Googled, who has survived this, and I found the work of T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, you all, and I said, wow, some people are actually reversing heart disease, and is that real? Because I just couldn't believe it. But they said eat a whole food plant-based diet, and I was a total newbie, so I didn't even know what that meant really. I couldn't, what do they do for protein? Is she going to need an egg? So that's the level of my understanding. But I just followed a whole food plant-based diet, and I brought my mom. She couldn't feed herself, and there were little micro meals of smoothies and soups. And lo and behold, after a month or two, she started to get a little bit better. And after about 3.5, 4 or 5 months, she could walk around her apartment. And she was, released to hospice, where it's a very short end game there. And she just started to get better. The color came back to her cheeks. She was able to hold my daughter. And we knew something was happening. At the same time, my health was improving, which I didn't even really realize was at risk. I was kind of in that age where bad eating habits hadn't shown themselves yet in the ways that I knew were connected to eating habits. But arthritis disappeared. I had the beginnings of macular degeneration that went away. But the big story is my mom, because she got progressively better. And we went to Dartmouth-Hitchcock, which is where her cardiologist was. And I took her there after about 8 or 9 months. And her heart function had gone from, less than 10%. At that time, it had jumped 30 or 40 points. And she was in there for a while. And I was like, what's going on? And she came out and she was almost skipping. And she said, they can't believe it. And they've been asking me all these questions. And it's her heart function has since gone on to be the low end of normal. And she was 80 at the time. And she turned 90 this year. And she's still driving. She still lives with me. That was another thing I never expected, but it has been, and I don't use it lightly, a real blessing to have that kind of multi-generational household. And we're all healthy. And she's healthy. She drives, she swims pre-COVID 4 times a week, plays cards with friends. And from there, I realized, because we had some experience in the food business and had been out of it, that, oh my goodness, why don't people know about this? It really kind of broke my heart, because my dad had died of Alzheimer's. And I thought, we could have mitigated that. I'm sure we could have some of it. And he also had heart disease. So, and this was the key for them. They did not look like people you would think would be unhealthy. Mm-hmm. They played golf, they played tennis, they, looked fit. But they had the kind of standard American diet of the meat and potatoes, maybe not a lot of it. So they were average weight. But that realization, we can really help people. So we ordered from everybody. And then I realized nobody is actually doing it in a way that delivers on the promise 100%. And that was our most important. I wanted, if somebody's going to make the effort to change how they eat, I want them to get the most bang for their buck. I want the promise of plant-based eating to really happen for them, because it is miraculous. My mom is a miracle, and we know it's the miracle of food and love. I think those two things. So that's how our company started. And we just, right from the beginning, said we want to make this food absolutely whole food, plant-based, no oil. and we might have to make it delicious so that my football playing brothers would like it. And we have to be able to have people deliver, be able to recycle their trash, their boxes, and all of those things, because that was the other thing we realized is you can't start a company that then adds to a problem. And, a part of the problem of the environment being just inundated with trash. And we said, we can't do that. And so we take all of our boxes back and ice packs and things, and we recycle or reuse them. So, and that's how we started. It was absolutely a love story, and it continues to be. And that is what motivates us when times are hard and when times are good, that, we remember why we're doing it, and it's to be authentic, deliver on the promise.
I love it so much. A few months ago, I interviewed Dr. Neil Barnard, who's on our advisory council from PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And Neil got emotional talking about his own dad who died from Alzheimer's. And he said, if my mission in doing this work is that if one family could be spared what they have to go through with Alzheimer's disease, then it's worth it. And I want to say to our viewers too, Meg's story with her mom, Millie, is not unique. It isn't that she built a business out of it, but I can remember, several years ago, Dr. Joel Furman is also on our advisory board. And I called him because my mom had been a 40-year smoker. And I had gone home to visit and was shocked when I went to visit at what she looked like. And she was in also congestive heart failure. She had COPD from smoking. And we went to the doctor, and it was September, and the doctor basically said, your mom will be lucky if she's still here at Thanksgiving. And she was still smoking. And I called Joel, who was a friend of mine, and I sent him my mom's scans and everything. And I said, is there any way to turn this around? And he said, Jennifer, no, her lungs are in really bad shape, her heart's in bad shape. And I said, well, if it was your mom, and she was down to 88 pounds because she was using so much energy to breathe. And I said, what would it take for, to get some weight back on her in a healthy way? And he told me some things that I could try. And I brought her home from the hospital, just like your mom, prepared that this was the end. And my mom was in her early 60s. And I started giving her smoothies and just giving her all these foods. Well, 6 weeks later, my mom, we'd put 20 pounds on her in a healthy way that she needed.
Right.
But I can tell you that I ran into Joel maybe a year and a half after that, and I hadn't spoken to him in a bit. And he came up to me under the assumption my mom had passed away. And he said, I'm so sorry, Jen, what you've been through with your mom. And I said, oh my gosh, Joel, I've been so busy building Wellness Foundation. I don't think I got back to you and told you my mom is doing great. I'm like, she actually quit a job, started a new business. She's doing so.
Oh my golly.
He was so stunned that he grabbed everyone around us and said, hey, everybody, listen to this story. You have to hear this. I saw this woman's lungs. And we're now 12 years down the road out of that. My mom has since passed away, but she had quality of life for those years that she had left. And we had moments together that we would not have gotten if she hadn't started eating this way. And so I say that to everybody to know that what happened in my family, what happened in Meg's family, it can happen in your family too. And that's what really struck me, is that it felt miraculous, because if you were seeing her and then you came back 4 months later and she was way more vibrant, and 10 years later she's going like crazy and has her own Instagram account. You'd think it's a miracle, right? And it is in a way, but it's duplicatable. Yes. And that's the part that struck me, and that it's never really too late to try. I don't know all instances, but certainly your mom was incredibly sick, and so was mine. And it's that quality of life at no matter where you are, in the spectrum of, nobody knows how much longer you have, but that your quality of life is as high as it can be. And I think that's the part that we were just struck by, that to this day she has a great quality of life, and no aches or pains, and no trips to the hospital, and no issues. And the medications, I didn't even mention that, they were like a suitcase full of medications when she came. Yeah. And we just gradually weeded it out, all with a doctor. We always did it with her doctor, but
to now, you know, she has a lot of vitamins and I think maybe one or so. And I think that's a little bit because she's afraid to not, as more than anything else. And that's fine. She's 90, but her quality of life is fantastic.
Well, and when you see somebody that you love, the depression and the sadness that sets in for them when they realize, like, I might be still here, but I'm not able to do the things I want to do, it's heartbreaking as a daughter and as a family member. And I think that for me, plant-based eating really comes down to the difference. If you're eating to fuel your body, you'll survive, you know, as long as you're taking in nutrients until maybe a chronic disease gets you. But plant-based eating helps you thrive. And there's a big difference between surviving and thriving. Big difference.
You know, it's huge. And I don't know about other people, but as I had gotten older, it's so incremental in some cases. I didn't even realize what I had lost, because it wasn't like I had it one day and didn't the next. But until I went plant-based. And then I remember one morning or one evening, like in the middle of the night, I got up and I was like, what's going on? And I realized my back didn't hurt. And it was so rare to not be in pain because I'm a competitive tennis player. I was so used to having athletic injuries, but the inflammation was gone. And so my body was just fluid. I felt like I was 20 again. And I didn't even know I had missed that until I got it back. And I think that's the hope, you know, and the hope that you give communities and people is you can't even quite realize how powerful it is until you experience it. You know, I could tell people over and over, and it's so easy to experience. That's the other thing. We make it a little bit easier, but what you're doing also, I mean, you actually do the heavy lifting of this is how you actually do it, and offer the support, which is incredible because it's so much easier to change when you have other people around you who are doing it. And when you experience it, I've heard over and over, we get letters every day of people who are like, I cannot believe how much better I feel.
Yeah.
Even they may not even have said I feel horrible before. I mean, I wouldn't have until I felt so much better. And then I was like, oh my goodness.
You bring up such a great point, because I think for so many, and I want to not to stereotype, but especially when you're over 40, we just start to think like aches and pains and, oh, it hurts when I get out of bed in the morning. That's
right.
And so our baseline, to be completely, you know, real with you, is sort of crappy. We don't really know how great we could feel. So we've accepted this is just my aging body until it goes away. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't have to have a creaky back when I get out. My knees don't hurt. Yeah. It's amazing.
It was, I had, you know, a little extra weight. It never really was a concern, but I just, okay. And then it just went away. It was like, it melted and without my even thinking about it. And I kind of just right sized, and then that was me. And I've heard that over and over again. A lot of the issues around food and eating get minimized when you're just fueling your body with, you know, nutrients, or flooding your body with nutrients that are great for you. And
exactly. And I think any food plan you do, any diet that's out there is going to, if you're restricting calories or you're exercising, doing all those things, you're probably going to lose weight. But plant-based eating, for me, it is the only way of eating that I know of that can help you to be healthy and lose weight, but it reverses disease on a cellular level at the same time. Yeah. You talk about getting bang for your buck, like that is, while all those things are happening, and people often come to our programs to lose weight or lower their cholesterol, and they don't expect that they're going to have more energy, they're going to sleep better, their aches and pains will go away, their migraines go away, and they're shocked. And so for many of them, weight loss just becomes a happy little side effect of this major shift. It's great.
It might be the entry in, because a lot of people do lose weight. And I think, okay, if that's what gets you here, great. But the benefit of how you feel, and for me, you know, I'm a very energetic person. But what I felt is what happened is I slept better. You know, and my mind was calmer. It's a really not expected at all. And it wasn't anything. I was so focused on my mom that it was really, I was just pleasantly surprised by what happened to me. But all of those things, the more I researched, you know, and once I knew, then I was like hounding all of the doctors before we started the company to say, is this real? Is this duplicatable? What is the research? I went through Cornell because I really wanted, if this was real, I wanted to make sure. And then I wanted to give people something that really delivered on it, that this hope, because there's so much out there that is not true. And there's so many disappointments that people have, but it shouldn't be too hard of a common sense stretch to say that if you're eating real food that's grown from the ground, that is in as much of an unaltered state as it can be and still tastes amazing, then your body is going to thrive, and it does.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's so true. And just like you, I mean, all of our programs are science driven. We're not about fads. We don't,
Right.
if you look back at our history over the last 15 years, we haven't changed at all. Like, we've always been saying the same exact thing. It's based on science, and it works. It, just like you said, I remember feeling the same way when I first reversed my own health issues, and I thought, is it this simple? Like, literally, it's what I've been eating that's making me sick. I couldn't even fathom it, and it took a long time for the medical community to sort of come on board with it, but we've certainly seen a shift in that. We have a long way to go, but we've come so far. And what I love about MamaSezz is that you make it doable. One of the things that people say when they go through our programs is a lot of times people don't like to cook. And, and that's just, I love to cook. Some people hate it. And, people think that it's cost prohibitive to eat healthy. And it certainly can be, so knowing some little tips and tricks to do. But what I love about MamaSezz, and you guys came to the rescue, I had brain surgery a couple of years back, and MamaSezz meals came every week. And it was awesome because I couldn't cook for myself or do things, but I was like, here are my meals. This is so easy. Just open them up and heat them up. And they're not like so many meal delivery services, and especially in the plant-based space, are salad-based, I'll say.
Right.
Lots of salad. And I know when I talk to my friends about plant-based eating, they're like, do you just eat like rice cakes, tofu, salad?
I know.
And I'm like, no, no, I don't. But what I love about MamaSezz is these are meals that you're used to eating. So you have gardener's pie, which is like a version of shepherd's pie, and you have lazy lasagna, which is my favorite, by the way, and burgers, and so many delicious things that are made out of real food, but they're the foods that you're used to eating. Right. So your family is going to enjoy them, and you're going to enjoy them, and they don't have oil, and a lot of they're low in sodium and don't have all the added processed junk. And I think it just makes all the difference to get meals like that delivered and like, oh, I can do this. This is doable.
That was, thank you. Because that's exactly what we wanted to do, is to not just be a specialty meal or like a frozen meal that you pulled out, because we love community and family. And that felt like it didn't really foster experience you'd want day after day. Yeah. That might be them, and they have a place. But what we wanted is to have the products that you could trust, that you were familiar with. Like I said, my brothers were the bar. And it didn't have the salad feel that, men and women would be like, this is hearty, this is delicious, it's familiar, but it's not trying to be something it isn't. And, big servings. And so that was really our goal, is to have a whole plant-based staples for people that, and to keep reasonable. Shape Magazine said they reviewed all of the companies, and they said, we're the most bang for your buck. And it is. We really help people stretch their budget, or just, have, a simple meal every day. But that was our goal, to make it easy, to make it affordable, to make it delicious and habitual, so that it's super easy and creative. That was the other thing that we did. And I don't know if it was planned at first, but it ended up being that way, that our meals are something that you can take and make your own. So you're not stuck with just one profile. You can really add your own to it. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I know you touched on this earlier, but I think it's so, so important. I'm with you at the packaging of things, especially like this last year during COVID, where we were ordering, everything was coming in delivery, and throwing all that packaging away just makes me sick. And what we're doing by following a plant-based diet helps the planet so much. Every person that's eating more plant-based is helping the earth. But to then throw everything back in a landfill, the first time I got a MamaSezz box, I was blown away And if I miss anything, please say so. But everything comes beautifully packaged in this box, and you've got ice packs and this thermal stuff in there to keep everything cold. And all you have to do when you unbox everything is put the ice packs back, put the, all the packaging stuff back in the box. MamaSezz literally sends you the return shipping label, and they even give you the strip of tape to put across the top of the box. Guys, you don't even have to buy tape. And you seal the box up, and it's picked up, and MamaSezz, or you drop it off at FedEx or have it picked up, and MamaSezz, or UPS, I think it maybe came today. They cover the shipping. You don't even have to pay for that. And that stuff's not just going back into a landfill.
It's true.
I don't know if there's another company doing that. I haven't met them yet, because you're the only ones that I've seen do that.
It's a really interesting thing, and it's a harder thing to do. And I think that's why a lot of companies don't do it. But since we did it from the beginning, and we kind of baked it into our model, like livable wages, like giving people vacations, like having reasonable work weeks, we just decided that's the company we want to be. And that's harder. But if you do it first and then say, can we build a company given these parameters? And then you go from there. And the return of the box was actually a compromise. Our first idea is we wanted to, because I grew up on the ocean, coast of Maine, and I'm just devastated by what's happening to oceans with ocean plastic. And so we said, well, there is a way, and there are other companies that are doing it, to pull plastic from the ocean, pelletize it, and create products. And so we said, why don't we make boxes out of plastic pulled from the ocean? So that's phase 2. We'll be making our own ocean plastic boxes, then shipping them, and they'll be able to make a lot more returns. And so phase 1 was, okay, the compromise is we'll take the boxes back. We're going to recycle and reuse everything, but we want to make our own from ocean plastic, because that's, you have one life. And how do you want to leave it? How do you want my kids to be? How do I want to be in the world? And, just try our best to do the best we can. And so that's what we decided.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, as I said to you before, the fact that even as a new company that was just starting out, and we know there's so many growing pains just to survive the first few years as a business. And the fact that you remain true to your core values and that integrity is something I have. I know I sound like I'm just fawning all over you, but I really believe that with all my heart. I have so much respect for your integrity as a company, because not everybody does that. A lot of companies will sell out and do the cheaper, the least expensive thing so that their profit is better. And you guys you always stay in alignment with your beliefs. And that's—
Well, thank you. And maybe it resonates because that's what you've done, and I know you started when it was a lot less friendly environment for plant-based eating, and you really paved the path. And so that's what I think of, because you were 15 years ago, when this wasn't even on anybody's radar, and sounding the clarion call of this, this is it. And so you had a much longer time when people weren't going, yay, plant-based. And so I kind of came in just as people were getting excited about it. But I appreciate that, because it's like what you do. You said you haven't deviated. We're always based on science, and we try to stick to our values. And because we want to deliver, like, if we believe that a world is something where people can live happy, healthy lives, they deserve to have, if they work for us, an income that they can, send their kids to college and go on a vacation and have that part of the dream, as well as be healthy, because we give all of our employees food as well. We like them to enjoy that and have that benefit. Then you have to try it, and you have to try as hard as you can to meet that. And it's not like it's always 100% perfect, but that is our true north. And so on the big things, we are perfect, our food, and on, almost all of the business practices, that's where we strive for.
I love that. And I know you're not kidding when you talk about in the beginning, because I remember sharing with you, Doug and I, when we did our first few meetings, when I was hired, he hired me less than a year into starting Wellness Foundation. And we would go to do a group, and we would just kind of, say to each other going in, boy, I hope someo's there besides the two of us tonight, because nobody had heard of this. And, people were like, oh, you're those people.
Right.
Face weirdo. And, and slowly but surely, we just believed if you build it, they will come, and we're going to just keep showing up. And I think, one of the things you do so well, and we try to do so well, is to meet people where they are. You
Yeah.
know, that's why all of our programs have 360 in the name, because we just really believe that as long as you're alive, you're on that path to wellness. And like you said, you can never be too young to start it, and you're never too old to start it.
Right.
You're never too old to have a good quality of life. So no matter what
Right.
the diagnosis or, you know what, and I think, you know, Dr. Esselstyn's work and the patients that he worked with, these are basically people that had a death sentence. They couldn't even have surgery because their problems were so extreme. And look at the results that people got by making these changes. So, you know, it's just, it is hard to stay the course, especially when you're sort of a pioneer in something as you were in the plant-based meal delivery. But it's worth it when you see just like we have, you see these testimonials coming in from people. And I mean, it makes every single sleepless night or, you know, day where you were dog tired at the end so worth it, doesn't it?
It's true. It's true. You know, we have a saying, you know, fatigue doesn't mean defeat. And so, and don't get them confused, because it is really hard when you're tired to say, am I doing the right thing? And, you know, building the organization that you have, where you've literally changed communities and the way that people look at their lives and their health. And with what we're doing, it's not always an easy path. And there's a lot of temptation to deviate, but why do it? You know, why do it if you're not going to actually deliver on the hope that you experienced and that, you know, other people can have? It's just, it's not worth it.
No,
so
totally agree. And I know during COVID, MamaSezz has been doing a lot in your local community too, meal-wise, that you shared with me. Would you tell everybody a bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah, we like many communities, we live in a small town here, and a lot of people were really hit hard. And food insecurity, not having enough to eat is, you know, like the most easy way to say it. People were losing jobs, or they lost one job in a household, and so something had to give, and it was the food budget in many places. And so we joined forces and are kind of the organizers, the behind the scenes organizers for this program called Everyone Eats, where we have always donated thousands of meals every month to different food shelters. But this one is more specific, where we worked with restaurants as well as farmers and us to have food for people. So the restaurants get the care money to make the food. We collect the food. We keep everything in a cold chain because we know how to do that. And then we distribute to people. And the amazing thing is, we just maybe 4,000 meals a week in a town of 13,000 of people coming. And we start at 4, and by 4:20, it's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's amazing that we can be a part of it, but heartbreaking that there are so many people who are struggling. And to just remember that, because I'm really fortunate and I can forget, but we have always kept, for MamaSezz, a part of our mission is that, you know, if you can't afford it, then there are ways. We've always donated to food banks every single month. We have, you know, thousands of meals that go to different churches, different organizations, different food banks. And this was just another level, and it did really well. It ended up being on the Today Show. And Stephanie Bonin, who is the kind of driving community force behind it, did a super job, and we're just the engine behind it.
Well, and you know, for our viewers, I have to say, do you see why I love this woman so much? What you're doing in the community it's so important, and you're speaking to something that, you know, certainly food insecurity has been an issue for a long time. I think that during COVID, a lot of things came into perspective for a lot of us, and I don't know if it's that we had a bit more time to slow down and actually see the toll that, you know, things we're taking in our world. We're seeing it with our planet and the earth and our fellow human beings, and we have so much opportunity. So when you're buying meals from MamaSezz, I think you have to remember you're supporting a company that does the things Meg just talks about. Like, that's amazing. That's so important. And it's just like, you know, with Wellness Foundation, I always tell people, when you take one of our programs, what you're doing, you're not only investing in yourself, you're investing in the next generation, because our W Kids program, which has reached 25,000 kids on the East End of Long Island. And I'm so excited to say that in about another month, all of our stuff will be online, so that any teacher, homeschooling parent, or school anywhere will be able to access it for free. We've
Wow.
done everything on video, so you can do it at home with your kiddos, you can do it with your grandkids, you can do it if you're a teacher, but there's a ripple effect. So just like whether you're taking one of our programs or buying something from MamaSezz, your buck doesn't just stop with our company or your company. We're making sure that there's a ripple effect that helps make the world better. And to me, if that's not what you're doing, then you need to change what you're doing. You have to become better. So
it feels good too, though. You know, I think we get as much benefit out of it, I think, or an equal benefit. And I know you feel that way as well, that, you know, the more you give, the more you get. And we know that. And that's really kind of one of our baseline philosophies, is if we can give the best that we can, no matter what ends up happening, you get, you know, it might not always be in the form you expect, but you always get something that you can be grateful for. And that's really, you know, kind of our company message.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Well, I'm excited to announce the collaboration that we've started with MamaSezz. And as I said, we've never done this with anybody. And there were some companies I came close because I really loved what they were doing, but I just felt so differently. And I hope now that our viewers have heard from you, they'll understand why I feel that way. I think that love is the common denominator. As, you know, cliche as that may sound, that's what drives my work and our company's work and your company's. And we just want to see every person who can thrive do so. And so we've got some really exciting stuff coming, and Wellness Foundation's partnered with MamaSezz, and we're collaborating, and you guys created, and Chef Caroline, who I adore, who I'm going to
She's amazing.
Instagram with her at 4 o'clock. You guys created the Wellness Foundation bundle. So would you tell everybody what your bundles are all about and how it is?
Yeah, they're super easy. So a bundle is a collection of products, and each product has multi-servings, and they're curated, like the foundation bundle is to different specifications that somebody might need, whether it be diabetes or in this case, the Wellness Foundation. And you get the products, they're all ready-made, and there's a menu that comes with it. So we make it super easy if you want to have a menu or a meal plan for it. And if you just want to mix and match yourself, you can do it. And what most people find is they get the bundle, and it makes eating for a week, usually lasts for a week. If you're adding to it, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. Once they get it, they realize that that it makes things so much easier. It totally de-stresses dinner times, because the heavy lifting work of plant-based eating is done. The sourcing of great ingredients, the chopping of great ingredients, the cooking it and the spicing it so that it actually tastes really fulfilling is all done. And so you have that at any moment. And so we're tremendously excited to work with you. And the bundle is, I mean, the products in it are top notch. They're just absolutely delicious. I think people are going to love it, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's so easy. And so some of the things, and we'll put links to everything so you don't have to worry about writing it down while you're watching, but we have some great things that we're going to be able to offer you to help make this easy for you to do it at home. So our signature program was called Wellness Challenge 360, and that's the program. It was a 7-week in-person program, and then COVID hit. And we couldn't meet with people anymore. So we did a big pivot last spring, and we created Jumpstart 360, which is a 4-week online program. It's really the best of what Wellness Foundation does. But this program is a little different than your average plant-based program because it's really targeted to your microbiome. So we do a lot of teaching about how you can fuel your microbiome, because your immune system, your immunity comes from your gut health. It's so vital. It's really about reducing inflammation and accelerating your energy. And people are getting results in our 4-week program that they used to get in the 7-week in-person program, because we're combining intermittent fasting and interval training and we have what we call the 3-step strategy that really accelerates results. So Jumpstart 360 is available online. Anybody, anywhere can take it. So for years, we could only help people on Long Island. And now we've been able to help people. I think we've had people in 6 countries go through it, and about half of the United States. So that's been super exciting for us to see that. And we meet over Zoom. And because we want this to be able to help as many people as we can, for those people who want to take Jumpstart 360, If it's cost prohibitive for you to do so, we try to price everything affordably, but if it is, you can apply for a scholarship and we can help you. And right now, because we know how hard frontline workers have been working through this entire pandemic, I'm really happy to tell you that through the generosity of some very generous donors, we're able to give free scholarships to Jumpstart 360 to any frontline worker. So
that's amazing.
Whether you're working in a grocery store, you're a teacher, working in a hospital, you can take Jumpstart 360 for free. And so you can just go to our website, which is wfeh.org, and look for Jumpstart 360. And at the bottom of that page, you'll see the links to the scholarship applications. And we will put as many frontline workers through this program for free as we can. So I'm really pleased to be able to do that. And MamaSezz has very generously given us a promo code to give our viewers. So you'll be able to save $20 off of your first bundle for MamaSezz, which is fantastic. And I have to tell you, for a bundle, in one of the bundles that Chef Caroline designed for us, you get over 20 servings for meals. Okay, so you guys, this is like literally, I have to say, I do enjoy an oat milk chai latte from a certain coffee company occasionally, and this is about the same price.
That's so true.
Meals for the day are about the same price as my latte. So I have to tell you, it's definitely worth the money. And then we also have a promo code for MamaSezz, for all of our friends from MamaSezz, that will give you $50 off of taking Jumpstart 360. So we really want to help as many people as we can to do this. And we know it is hard to go from the standard American diet to a plant-based way of life. There's so many more products now and things that make the transition easier. But when you're armed with the knowledge and you understand why you're doing this and you're working, especially in community with like-minded people, I think that makes such a difference. Even, your Facebook community, I love, because you put out so much great content. If you're not following MamaSezz on Facebook, do it right now, because you guys have such great content on your blog, and subscribe to their newsletters, because every single week they feature somebody for Transformation Tuesdays, which I love reading those stories. But every weekend, that one of the highlights of my weekend is Maria Shriver's Sunday paper, which I love, and the MamaSezz Saturday email that is like just good news.
It is.
Stuff.
It's good news. Oh, yeah, I love that you love that.
I do.
Thank you.
It's just, you guys are going to love it too. So I can't encourage you enough. Go to mamasezz.com and check them out. And we're going to put links to everything with these videos. But you will not go wrong following them and giving these meals a try. And whatever bundle you get, if it doesn't come with lazy lasagna, add one to your order.
Put it in the notes. We'll get it in there for you.
Yep. And then all you have to do, every week I steam some zucchini and some spinach, and then I just load my bowl up with those and put a little bit of lazy lasagna on top of it. Oh my gosh. It's so good.
That's it. And I guess for people too to know about the food is just that it's really fun. You can be creative with it. It stays fresh in your fridge for 2 weeks unopened. You can freeze it. But there's so much you can do with it, and it just saves a lot of time, a lot of money, and is a great way to just live a plant-based life without having to stress about always preparing a meal. And you also know you're going to get, just absolutely, authentic food that doesn't have any preservatives, none of the junk in it.
Well, that's what's awesome. I mean, the time that it takes to go through like a fast food drive-through, it's even faster to go to your own freezer or refrigerator and pull out some MamaSezz fast food.
That's right. It is
so easy. And it is delicious. I think that's the other big piece of it. The test for me is always my husband, because if I eat it, I have been eating this way for a long time, but if he likes it too, then I know it's a winner.
Then we're happy. That's great.
So, and he approved all the items that are in the bundle, so
that's
all
super.
were tested at our house. But it's just fantastic. And MamaSezz burgers and your breakfast sausage. So many of the plant-based burgers and breakfast sausage are loaded with so much junk that I wouldn't.
So much grease and sodium, and it's true. Yeah.
And you'll love it too, you guys, if you try these bundles, because Chef Caroline, she's amazing. I have to say, I expected something great from you guys, but what she developed blows my mind.
She is incredible.
I know.
mean, Caroline is just our secret. And she's not even a secret, but she is just amazing young woman, so dedicated, and just, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm delighted that you fell in love with her too, because we just absolutely adore her.
Yeah, when you guys get your bundle, it comes with this amazing packet, and Caroline has outlined for you multiple ways to use each of the products that comes in your bundle. But then if you choose to use it, there's also a meal plan that shows you how to incorporate it. She tells you what sides to get. You know, if you're going to have a certain main dish one night, then maybe have this side. And she even made a shopping list for you guys of the fresh produce to buy. And it's just a few items that you need to buy each week to really even up the nutrition, even just a little bit more. And I mean, it's so easy. She took all the work out of it. And I told our team, I'm like, I expected something good, but this is like even beyond what I expected. So I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to share that with her, because she works so hard. And she, again, is mission driven. I mean, beautiful story about Caroline is she came to work with us, and when we were first starting, we didn't have a position, and she said, for a year she kind of like knocked on our door and volunteered, and then just grew with us, and is just an amazing chef. She's a beautiful person as well. And so and we're just delighted to have her, and I'm so glad that she's working with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like I said, I'm going to jump on Instagram Live with her at 4:00 because my first week's bundle came today. It came just a little while ago. I heard the UPS man out on my front porch. So I'm going to unbox what I got with her, and she's going to tell us different ways that I can use various things.
Fabulous.
So I can't wait. Yeah, it's exciting.
Fabulous.
We're so excited to be able to work with you and to be able to offer a discount on each other's programs. And I hope that it will help people give this a try. And it's like I say to everybody, the next month is going to go by whether you transition to a plant-based lifestyle or not. But if you are willing to give it 4 weeks of your life and see what can happen in that time, you will sleep better, you will have more energy, you're not going to have as many aches and pains, things like reflux get better. There's so many, I can't even list all the things that improve for people when they try this. And I remember years ago when I started in plant-based nutrition with Mary Lou Henner, I remember her saying to me specifically about dairy. And she said, be sure you're ready to make the change, because once you know the truth about what the impact is that this food is having in your life, you will not be able to unknow it.
It's true.
And I'm so glad she told me that, because, for a lot of times for people, it comes in little pieces.
Right.
I took red meat out first and then dairy, and I have to say it's easier to just make the change. Sometimes leaning in is harder because you still have those foods in that are addictive, but at whatever way that you come into it, you can't go wrong. It's going to make your life better.
And you've touched on so many great things. And one of the things that I so admire about what you do is that you give people that community and the structure to make change, because you can have all the knowledge, like I should do this and I want to do this, but it's very hard to actually do it. And you've kind of cracked that nut for people. And so you just make it really kind of seamless and way easier to shift. What for some is a hard thing to do, for others it's so easy. I mean, the joy of this way of eating is you feel so much better. It's a whole lot easier to keep doing it. So, and I love that you do that. I love that you make it easy for people, that you give them the community that I felt I needed. And hopefully we offer some of that at MamaSezz too, to make the change and to make it easier. So you're not doing it alone, and you're trusted information. I mean, you are so steeped in the real deal science that you're giving people real information that's actionable and practical, and they can do for the rest of their life.
Thank you. Yeah, we're so fortunate. I mean, we've had the advisory council we've had them for years since we started, and they're the best of the best. Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Caldwell.
They are. It's like
these are the guys you want to know.
Rock stars.
And we always say we stand on the shoulders of giants, because they are the pioneers. They're the ones that bravely put this information out there from the beginning, and then people like us could build on it. And I think what you said, and I think you did the same thing I did. You created what you needed. That's
Right.
really how this came to be. Doug and I were both like, you know, we both made this transition on our own, but it would have been so much easier with community. It would have been easier if the community supported it. And so one of our goals was, how do we make healthy living affordable and accessible to everybody who lives in our community? And that's why we, you know, went into our schools to educate all of our kids, and why we worked with restaurants to get dishes on the menus that our people could go in and eat and know that they were getting something that was
Mhm.
healthy. You know, it takes everybody working together, but that's the beautiful thing about community.
It
You know,
is. It is. And you've tapped into it. And, you know, I can't stress enough, like I know, and just reading, you know, people on your site and the testimonials, the lives that have been changed. And for anybody who's wondering, should I do this or shouldn't I, or what level, is to just start and give yourself that experience, because there's nothing to lose. I mean, there's no downside. You're going to lose some weight maybe, but there's no downside, and you get to experience something that to me is extraordinary and so unexpected. You know, I had gone 50 plus years without thinking about it, and then all of a sudden everything changed in our life. And you know, it not only changed me, it changed my mom, my sister, again, a tournament level tennis player, looked as fit as could be, stroke level, blood pressure. I said, you've got to do this. And she was like, but I was, you know, I'm her sister, so I could nag her. But we don't nag other people. And she said, okay. And so she did, and her, you know, off blood pressure medication. And these are so rapid. You know, when we were first doing this, I talked to one of our banker friends, and she said, you know, if I didn't know you guys, I'd think you were lying. I said, I feel like I am. I feel like I'm making it up. Because why don't people know? You know, why don't they believe it, and why don't they know, and how can we help them know? And that's really the genesis of what we do, because it is so thrilling. You just feel so good. And so many people around you, from, you know, a blood pressure to my niece, Allie, who works with us, who has cystic fibrosis. And that's a pretty heady disease. You know, I was her nanny when she was a baby, and you know, the life expectancy was 29. And when we started this company, she's also brilliant. And so I called her up, and she worked in marketing and advertising, and she's an incredible writer. And I said, Al, can you do some research for me? And she said, okay. So she started researching. And I said, well, watch these documentaries so you kind of know where we're at. And we put a lot of our, or any of our management and a lot of our employees through Cornell as well, so everyone knows what they're doing. And so she did that. And she said, you know, Meg, I think I'm going to switch to a plant-based diet. And I am with CF, you know, worried about keeping cystic fibrosis. You're worried about keeping weight on. So I was, check with your doctor. She got the okay. And then she went, you know, time went by, and she went for her quarterly checkup. And she called me, and she said, my doctor came in, and she was crying. And my lung function is as high as it's been, because with CF, your lung function drops precipitously. And the goal is to mitigate the drop. She said, my lung function is back to what it was when I was a teenager. And, you know, so I'm bawling already. You know, we're a big Irish Catholic family. I'm screaming to everybody, get over here. And then she said, and she had osteopenia and beginnings of osteopenia because of all the steroids. And she was young. She was 27 at the time. And that's gone. And the beginnings of liver disease was gone. And so we were blown away, just because, you know, when you have something that's serious, to have that kind of hope injected in your life where it wasn't. And so then, you know, a year goes by, we're celebrating it like crazy. And she calls me up and she says, you know, I'm going to get married. And these like very simple goals that weren't not a part of her life, but they're always in the context of her health. And so we were like incredibly excited. She got married. We all went. Year later, she said, you know, I'm pregnant. And this is, again, something that we hadn't really anticipated was possible. But her health was so good, her lung function so good, and CF has remarkable drugs as well. And what we believe is that the plant-based nutrition just help all these things, because it's a genetic disorder, work so much better. And so then she went on to have a pretty easy pregnancy, had a beautiful baby girl, Winnie, who is just phenomenal and healthy. And so it's personal, you know, and it's personal. And when I say we don't want to compromise on what we give people, it's because that's the promise that's maybe an extreme end, but there are so many areas in between that people can experience. And I don't want to take that away from somebody. If I'm introducing them to that, I want to have them to have the food and the ease to make it possible so that you can have that hope in your life. And that's what you do. That's why I have so much respect, because your information, it's not, get well fast. It's not that kind of like fad environment. It's like, if you do this, you will have these results. This is what happens, and your life will get better. And so that's why I'm so delighted, to have met you years ago, but also to be able to follow along with what you're doing. And then now to have, over the moon to be able to partner with you, because it's that. And I felt that with you always, that your mission was first, that you knew the promise here, and felt almost like it was your own mission to give that to people. And we have the same thing, because our whole family's been transformed. And we were not like the family you would point to and say they're open to transformation, so we were, we were just, a wild, crazy, big old family that didn't have that kind of consideration. There were no vegans, we were probably weren't even all that nice to vegans, some of the people in our family, we didn't want them for dinner, like you're wrecking the barbecue. But it changed, and it changed because we feel so much better. Yeah. And that's what we want to give to people. And hopefully, and I know our food does that. And hopefully we'll be able to do it for years to come.
Well, in your company, much like ours, it is personal. And I know when we started, and I was talking about Doug and I would go to meetings, and we know the stories of all the people who've come to us and trusted us and let us be their guide on this journey. And it's such an honor to me to be invited into somebody's life at that level, like for you guys to be invited to somebody's dinner table every night, that they trust you with their family. And I think that when you see something like you saw with your niece, and to now she has a little one, and that your mom is not only seeing your daughter, but she's seeing this other,
seeing her great granddaughter, right?
It just, you want that for every single family that's suffering. And there's so much needless suffering with type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and so much of what we suffer with and accept as normal is preventable, and it's reversible. That's the thing I want you guys to hear. Meg's mom Millie was, on hospice. That's what they wanted to do. That means you're just about to leave this world, and a decade later she's thriving at 90. So, we all are going to have illness at some point in our life, and we may have to deal with it. But the amount that you invest in your health leading up to that certainly will help you mitigate whatever comes your way. It certainly can only help you. But the joy and happiness that you'll have, and the quality that you'll have in your days, it's just nothing. There's just nothing else more valuable. I can't think of anything we could invest in that has a bigger impact on our lives than our health.
I agree. And it's so accessible. I think that's the part that it's like a light. It was so obvious. I didn't see it for so many years, and there's so much mixed messaging. I think it's hard to discern what to do. And I was lucky that it kind of just showed up in my life in a really powerful way and got my attention. And so that's part of why we want to make it easy, because I didn't see it. And I wish I had a lot earlier, for my dad, and my mom probably wouldn't have gotten to that place. But for other people, we just want to make it easy, because it is so easy. And you're right. Why not have the quality of your days be that much better, just to feel that much better, no matter how many more you have, to have them be thriving days and not ones that are kind of bogged down by either low level illness or outright debilitating illness.
Well, and so many times people say it takes so much time to prep this food and to, to cook it and everything. And that's why you guys are
that's why we start. I was that person.
But I have to say, you're going to spend the time one way or another, and you're going to invest money one way or another. So you're either going to invest it going to the pharmacy and waiting in line there, waiting at doctor's offices, getting scans, getting tests, getting treatment, or you're going to invest it and be proactive. And that's the thing, guys. You're spending that time and that money one way or another, and we just don't even think about it. And to invest it into your wellness, you cannot go wrong doing that. So,
and it really works. I mean, that's the thing. It just works. And I wish I could just anybody who was on the fence, just give them a month, you know, and just here. But you can't make anybody do anything, but we can offer it because it really works. And it's you know, it's affordable. You're eating anyway. And it's a small kind of, it's almost like once you make the decision, the rest is easy, you know, decision made. You're not redeciding it every day. I'm going to eat plant-based for a month. And then things get allowed to change and the resistance is gone. And that's why your community is so important and the work that you do, because you help people not redecide every day, am I going to do this or not? But just, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then once your body is on board, and then your mind and your spirit and everything, you just, it's not even, I don't even wonder. I think when I started, I said, I never thought about giving up meat or dairy really for good. I was just doing it because of my mom. And I think I thought in my mind, if I want to go eat meat or dairy, I will. But I never did. And then the more I knew, like you said, once you know, you can't unknow. And my body is so much more, I mean, we have a very packed schedule. You know, I have kids, I'm homeschooling, my mom, a business that's really growing and active, but I have the energy and the health and the vitality to live the life that I really want. And why wouldn't you want that for everyone?
Yeah, you make excellent points. So if you're somebody that's on the fence and you just want to give this a try, you know, with our programs, you can go 100% plant-based. You can be 80-20, 70-30, whatever works for you. And we really teach people how to do that. We give you 4 weeks to really jump in with everything you have, because the degree to which you commit is the degree to which you'll see results. So I think that's an important piece. And then, if at the end of those 4 weeks you want to, you know, leave some room in your diet for some of the other things, that's okay too. You decide, but you're going to see how good you can feel. And we, in our in-person programs, we always did biomarkers at the beginning and at the end. So people got their lab work done, and across the board for 10 years, we got consistent results, because the first time I was like, can this possibly be right? And then we just kept seeing it every time. The average person in those 6 weeks lost about 10 pounds. Some people lost over 20, but their cholesterol across the board was dropping 40 to 50 points in 6 weeks, just changing their diet. They weren't even exercising. And we were seeing that result in people who were diabetic or pre-diabetic, who were maybe on certain medications. Their doctors were calling and saying, what are you doing over there? Because their blood sugars were dropping so dramatically just from making changes that they had to adjust their medication levels. So you just have to see it to believe it. You have to.
You do.
We made it super easy. So you can go to our website, which is wfeh.org, and we'll have links there for you. And MamaSezz website, which is mamasezz.com, and it's mamasezz.com. And we'll have promo codes posted with these videos so that you can take advantage of MamaSezz's generous discount of $20 off your first bundle. And we'll also be giving you $50 off of Jumpstart if you want to take it. And if you're a frontline worker or somebody who needs financial assistance, you can apply for that as well, because it would be our joy to help you. And I hope that together our companies will be able to help so many people. I really look forward to that.
So I do too. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
For everybody, thank you, Meg, for your time, and I hope we'll get to talk to you again soon. And I just want to say to everybody out there, if you're even a little bit on the fence, give it a try. You have nothing to lose but stuff you never really wanted in your life. Whether that's extra pounds or chronic disease. But, you know I speak for Meg too, truly from my heart and the heart of our team and her heart as well. We want to help you. You deserve to thrive, and we're here to help you. So thank you so much, Meg, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Jen.
Be well, and
great talking with you.
To your mama.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.